Alrighty, so we're back for part 2 of this status identity thing. So this video is called Status Identity Correction Inquiries. We received quite a few inquiries about change of status. When we're talking change of status or status change, we mean restore your identity, what you are of, a real mother and a real father of God. If you don't believe in God, that's fine, but you have a mother and a father. That's your maker, owner, ruler. People need to be aware of this information. It is part of and interwoven into every aspect of our lives, whether one is involved in legal or commercial matters or processes, business or a homebody. You need to be aware of this. I know many people who don't get it yet. They want to break free from human government rule using human government legislation, codes, statutes, politicians, rules, bills to set them free. It won't happen that way, people. It can't happen that way. You're chasing your tail. Oh, please hit the like and subscribe button down below in the video here. Thank you. They think you are a person, a member of their club. They think you are Dirty Harry, a fictional being, and for good reason. You are torn. You've been playing the part of Dirty Harry, pretending to be Dirty Harry, and done so your whole life. All of it. Establish you're not Dirty Harry, and your status is changed. Identity restored. Let me make something clear here. You can't really change your identity. It's all fiction. It's all deemed, assumed, presumed. But so it's a bit of a misnomer there to say restore your identity. You never really lost it. Yeah, we put the mask on. That's the Dirty Harry mask for this case. But what do you do with that? How can you use that to advance your cause? After your status has changed, you're known not to be Dirty Harry. To begin here, and this is important, it takes time to renew the mind, to change how we see things, how we interpret, how we react, and how we move forward. We have been programmed to think a certain way. We want to rework those chains. We added a new short audio clip to our trick straps and deception Zoom recordings that come with our information package. He lays it out perfectly in 18 minutes, what I'm saying in this video. Very good insight to what I mean by strategy. People aren't catching on the strategy aspect yet. You will. The content of this video should help folk understand the reality of this legal system and why man has no rights or claim to anything in the legal system, also known as Wonderland. That's what I call it, Wonderland, the land of make them believe. Hence, got to renew the mind. I'm not saying man cannot play in Wonderland. There's only people here, but that he cannot be himself in Wonderland. This information provides for an understanding of what's going on out there, what you're involved with. I suggest the lack of this knowledge is a reason people suffer. This info may be used commercially to play in Wonderland or non-commercially to get out of Wonderland completely. It really is about freeing the mind. I got to start this by saying they know you are a man. They know you are a woman. They know you as alive. In their world, the legal system Wonderland, how they see it, men and women are persons. It's on the Canadian $50 bill, or used to be when women became persons in 1929. Get it? Women became persons. Well, they're still women. The women didn't disappear. And just like a funny we talk about this. We watched a monarch butterfly go from caterpillar to cocoon. We got it on time lapse. In a few days, it'll be a butterfly. So, but women didn't lose the women part and become something else. No, they just took on a mask. That's what it means. Women became persons. They put on a mask. Women's still there. So that's why I say you can't really lose your identity. So I know that was on the $50 bills in Canada, women are persons. And that's just further evidence. Somebody would say, well, everyone's persons. There's always been persons. Well, just a second. What were women before they were persons in 1929? Women. See, a lot of deception out there, deceivers out there. This is why is a serpent harmless as a dove comes into play. Claiming I am a man and I am alive, live life claim as some put it, is not the way to go about it, not in my estimation. There's no way for a man to enter their courts except in person, in which case he's not a man anymore. That person he appears as is a dead fictional being, Same sounding name. It is from that I presume that people think they need to prove life, but that's not what this is about. For purposes of this, to help people get this, to renew the mind, we will call that fictional being Dirty Harry. So for purposes of this, you're all a Dirty Harry. So we're all on the same page. A bit about Dirty Harry. It's from a movie in the late 60s, early 70s. He was a rough and tough lawman character played by Clint Eastwood. Played by Clint Eastwood. So you got Clint Eastwood and you got Dirty Harry. You got John Paul Smith and you got John Paul Smith. That's where the confusion comes in because it's two beings, same name. Obviously, Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry's not the same name. And they'll know it's a show, but nonetheless, hopefully you get my point. It is Clint's face you see in the movie, but he is appearing as if Dirty Harry, who is a fictional being. There really is no Dirty Harry. He plays the part of Dirty Harry, limited to that movie, the script. Same as man appears in court as John Paul Smith, governed by the rules, the script, except most people are not aware there are two beings, two John Paul Smiths, same sounding name. The one, John Paul Smith, is a dead fictional being like Dirty Harry, and that neither is blessed with life until a man, obviously alive, steps in to play the part. And let me be clear here. You are giving it, Dirty Harry, the breath of life, and you get nothing in exchange. I mean nothing. We'll get into that. And that is what most of, if not all of you watching this video have done and continue to do, to play the part of a fictional being every day, 24/7, everything you're doing. We'll get into that further here. Saying I'm a man and I am alive won't help. Maybe once in a blue moon, if you're lucky. Wrong way to go about it or to look at it. Wrong strategy. The reality is the world in which their minds operate. I'm talking the legal guys. You know, that's the guys really. That's the guys, the legal guys, I guess, and government people. But at the end of the day, it always goes to the lawyers, right? But the legal guys, in their minds, the reality is the world in which their minds operate is a fictional one. 100%. They created it. And furthermore, they do not care if you present government identity documents to give them jurisdiction. They do not care if a birth is registered or birth certificate issued. They will treat you as a person, as one of them, as a member of the Canadian or U.S. family, or whatever country you think your butt's in. They will treat you as a son or daughter of the country, a dead fictional being, a dead son, dead daughter. Let the dead bury the dead. The thing is, your adversaries, they too have been deceived, programmed, and indoctrinated. That's why strategy is good. So at the end of the day, it's the evidence that does it, right? In agreement. So long as they recognize you as that, a person like Dirty Harry, you, your children, and the property you believe you own is under their control, period. Period. That is the crux that has everyone in bondage. That is a hurdle that must be overcome one way or another, at least to be aware of it. The basis of the hurdle is that they operate a world of fiction. They write the scripts, the acts, and they direct persons like Dirty Harry, the John Paul Smiths, the Mary Poppins, the whole lot of them, billions. That is how they see it. They see you and the name is one and the same. You and the person is one and the same. It's impossible, but nevertheless, that is how they see it or deem it until the contrary is proved. And I gave hints in the previous video, status identity, how one may set that in motion in a very simplistic way. Very simplistic way. Just want to pause here for a moment, grab a drink of water. So now we know, or beginning to know these things. Confirm for yourself. One may use this knowledge with understanding to free himself of the constraints attached to persons. A proper way to address this, as a mental foundation at least, the person is a dead fictional being. They will say you and it are one and the same. But the truth is, one cannot be this and that. That's not possible. They can't get past that impossibility aspect. It is not about that you're alive, but that you are not the dead fictional being they lord over. The fictional son of a fictional country in a fictional world. Their world is fiction. They, the lords of fiction, have power over that world and those that partake in it. as persons. It's all persons. You must be or appear in person to partake, period. No other way. Everything you do out there in the name of a person, which for Canadians is the King's name, which for Canadians is the King's name. You do the work, and the person, the son of the country, the fictional being you appear as or pretend to be, it gets the credit, the check, the benefit. It is the person's income that results from the fruits of your labor. You've never been paid. The person, the part you play, was paid. How do you feel about that? Not being paid for your work, ever. Never, ever. You've never contracted. Dirty Harry does it, all of that. He does it all. It's all done in the name of Dirty Harry. It's all done by Dirty Harry in Wonderland. Remember, you're all Dirty Harry. Well, you're really Clint Eastwood, but you're all playing the part of Dirty Harry. In fact, you've never purchased anything either. Let me explain that. Everything you do out there in the public, you do in person as Dirty Harry. When I had an incorporated business, Beck Electronics Incorporated, people would see me walk into a store and buy things, supplies, food, vehicles, whatever. I was there, but I was not the purchaser. The company was. They might have thought it was my stuff, but it belonged to the company. Ask the tax man. It is not you who purchase things or eats in restaurants, who buys and sells, contracting, not in Wonderland. It is you appearing to be the person, as if Dirty Harry, or whatever the legal name you have is. Like Clint Eastwood was in person when he played Dirty Harry. You saw Clint Eastwood do many things in that movie. You see his face, but it was not him doing those things. It was Dirty Harry. This is what is going on with most people, if not everyone, their entire lives. We do many things daily, and we do it as Dirty Harry, or whatever the legal name you have is. Example, John Paul Smith. This may seem like a mind bender, but if you think on it, you'll begin to see it. Next time you read a statute, every time you see the word person, replace it with fictional being, knowing you are not that. When you understand this, then you should understand the reasoning and principles behind reclaiming your securities and reclaiming dominion over your ownership of property. How else will you secure, protect, or control what belongs to you and the world that does not recognize man or women? Oh, sure, you're thinking, I got a house, a car, a cottage, a boat, a bank account, money in the bank, debt. But here's the thing. You do not own any of it, and you've never been paid for your job, your labor, no more than Clint owns what belongs to Dirty Harry in that movie set. On paper, man is not there. In the government and business information systems, man is not there. To put that in perspective, you've gone through your whole life as Dirty Harry. In other words, it is as if everyone has been playing the part of a fictional being in a movie during our time here on this planet, from birth to death. So no, all those places you think you've been, all those things you think you did, buying and selling, incurring debt, attending court, applying for benefits, food you ate in a restaurant, you did in person as Dirty Harry, figuratively speaking, legally speaking. So Dirty Harry, the fictional being, got paid, ate the food, bought and sold things. Dirty Harry is the debtor, etc., etc., etc. I hope you're getting this. I really do. If you quote their laws for reliance on them for some sort of relief, you do so as and will be treated as a person under their rules. Even if you apply it under the Freedom of Information, you have to be a citizen/person to do that. It's all a trap. Some of these things might sound really good. Oh, I got a Bill of Rights. I got Charter Rights. Well, that sounds fine and dandy, but you got to be in that world as a person to partake, and you'll never get your freedom that way. It can't happen. It can't happen. For purposes of reclaiming securities, it's why we use a proxy under the control of man for secure party. Man does not exist in the legal and financial system. Man cannot go into a fiction court being himself for real remedy, relief, redress, or to stake a claim for any reason or cause, legal or equitable. Why? Because he must appear in person. He must be there in person. He must be there as Dirty Harry. They see, do business with, and have jurisdiction over persons, the Dirty Harrys, period. There's no other way. How else will man secure to him what belongs to him, if not by proxy under man's control, or assert his ownership of a claim to the estate they took in trust. Time of registration of birth. Our information package can help you with this. Oh, and please hit the subscribe and like button down below. Please, thank you. I'm going to pause this again for another sip of water. Thank you. Now, before I close here, I have to put a caveat here to make a point. I know people are watching our videos on YouTube and they hear stuff and then they run with it because it sounded good or they believe it to be true. It's not that it's not true, but it's not really that quite that simple. This is an example of what not to do. A fellow told me during one of our Zoom sessions that he will put the word attorney after his signature. For sure, that will get their attention. Guaranteed, that's going to get their attention. It is true he is the attorney for their person. Someone has to think for, speak for, and act for it, like Clint Eastwood did for Dirty Harry. But that does not mean it will be accepted by third parties just because he said it or added it to his signature. So I asked him, I said, what will you do if they challenge you that you sign like that? Why you added attorney to the signature or say you're not a lawyer or ask you if you're a lawyer? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? What will you say? His answer? I don't know. And there it is. So anyhow, I said, well, and there it is, doing things without having the why to back it up. People, no point to do that sort of thing unless you know the why. Like I said, it's true. If you want to go down that road, that you are the attorney for the person. Again, someone has to think for, speak for, and act for. That is true. But just because you say it doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. That's why I said in the previous video, I think, be ready. You ask the question, am I, who'd you send this to, me or the person? Be ready. So anyway, that was just to give an idea there of things, like I say, what not to do. And that's just one simple example. You need to know the why. I hope this helps. And we do have additional information on the information package. And again, please hit the subscribe button down below here and hit the like button. Much appreciated. Share the stuff, the videos if you like them. And we're not monetized here, so on the channel or any channels. So anyhow, that's all I had to say, I believe. Pretty sure. And so I'm going to call it. And if anything changes, I'll be back. Keep smiling. Light of God never fails. People are definitely waking up around the planet. I got some other stuff I can't even share because it wasn't shared with me, but apparently someone knew was at the helm of the financial system, if I can put it that way. But that hasn't been revealed yet. Apparently, that's just something I heard recently. That's all I can say. Thank you. God bless. Love you. Ciao. Light of God never fails.